Yeah, sure. I'm Matt, and I lived in Minneapolis, Minnesota, out of the USA. We are representing nuclear energy through the organization called Generation Atomic. We're a grassroots organization that focuses on nuclear energy as a major part of the climate change, or the fight for climate change, fight to get against net zero, and also we see it as our best option to get off of fossil fuels. Well, good question. This is my first COP, so a lot of what I'm seeing here is what I've been seeing seeing it for the first time. What I feel our role here is to be a voice for nuclear energy. Historically, in clean energy discussions, nuclear has been left out, but now we're starting to hear a lot more about nuclear because it's a big task that we're faced with in regards to getting off fossil fuels. There's so much energy that we rely on our daily lives with fossil fuels now, and to do that without a strong, firm, reliable energy source to replace fossil fuels, it's going to be nearly impossible. Yeah, nuclear energy, it's funny when I say this because people think I'm crazy sometimes when I say it. This is the cleanest energy out there. It's the only energy source that accounts for all of its waste. We know exactly how much there is, we know where it's at, and it's been accounted for very safely for all the history of nuclear energy production. In fact, it's got a perfect safety record. No other energy source can claim that, not even solar and wind. So it's funny how nuclear has this stigma against it, which we've accounted for our waste 100%, and we do a very good job with it. The other good thing is there's very little of it. We get so much energy out of nuclear or out of uranium that we don't need to create that much waste to create lots of electricity. And in terms of what you bang for the buck, what you get out of a small amount of uranium doesn't compare to any other energy source, which means there's less mining, less land impact, less resources that we need to use to make our energy out of nuclear. There's myths about nuclear energy that have survived for decades, even though they've been long debunked. And really, I think that's the sole reason for us to exist. There hasn't, until recently, nuclear advocacy or nuclear activists hadn't existed. This is only in recent years where we've grown in numbers greatly, but we're talking less than a decade has nuclear activism been in existence. We need to do a good job of telling our story because nuclear is comprised of a lot of smart engineers that know a lot of the technical parts of things, but they're not great storytellers. Every great movement has a great story behind it, and people have been known to follow stories over the facts. So we've got the facts on our side, we just need to get a good story behind us, and that's why we want to be here and tell the story of nuclear, show the people behind it. There's no curtain, there's nothing we're hiding. It's made of good people who care about safety, care about the environment, care about energy. So we need to just be here talking to people, let them know who we are and what we care about. Let me tell you about what we're doing in our organization on the education side of things. So we started a project called the Building Bridges Project, and this is an initiative where we're recruiting a worldwide network of activists for nuclear. So when they decide to join us, we take them through a training period where we tell them how to be good storytellers, how to talk about nuclear. Most of them are nuclear engineers already. We don't need to tell them about how it works. We need to tell them about how to communicate with people to get your ideas across and not come across too technical and lose them. So when they join us and they finish this training, we go out and we look for ways that they can advocate for nuclear in their communities. And this is across the world here. We've got people in Africa, Europe, every continent we've got representatives, and we're still growing it too. So we see this as a really good way to reach a lot of people across the world, even though our small organization is pretty much based in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And some of the results we've gotten from this, we've had a conference put on in Abuja, Nigeria, which is a one-day conference where they got lots of state officials to come and hear them talk about nuclear, why it should be in the future for Nigeria, followed by a 5K march down to the capital of Nigeria with like hundreds of people joined them. But that's just one of many things. We also have we're building a program now where anybody from across the world can go and talk about nuclear energy in a local high school. So to get kids, when they're at that age of what they're deciding, what they want to go into, what they want to study, we're helping build a collective folder of information or of like presentations that we can give to anybody to go out to talk to high schools around the world. And we're going to see, we've seen this happen in a number of countries now, and we're going to be growing the program where we can do this across the globe.